Hey everyone, I'm Joel Popoff. I'm 26 years old from Vancouver, Canada. Today I'm in Vietnam on a very small island called Cat Ba. And I just felt inspired to teach you guys exactly how you can become a millionaire in real estate by 26 years old and then use the passive income from that real estate to travel around the world for free. Now I've been traveling around the world for the past 5 months and I've been daily vlogging. And if you've watched any of my vlogs, I really try my hardest to set up my camera perfectly everywhere and really put a ton of effort into all of my vlogs. And today I'm just fuck it. I just want to give this story to you guys. Just want to give the raw, uncut version of this story so that it will help you as soon as possible. So I just wanted to give full disclosure. This is absolutely not a get-rich-quick scheme. You are not going to become a millionaire in a day or a week or a month or even probably a year. This requires a shit ton of effort, dedication, every single day for a long amount of time. But if you do follow the steps that I'm about to teach you, you will become a millionaire in real estate by the time you're 26 years old or even younger. So if you are looking to just get rich really quickly, this is absolutely not the video for you. You might as well just click the little red X in the top corner now before I waste any more of your time, because you're just gonna leave disappointed. If you are looking to actually put in the dedication and the effort that it takes to become a millionaire in real estate, then stay tuned. I firmly believe that if I can do it with the life that I grew up with, then literally anyone can do it. So I first want to just start off by telling you a bit about my background. Nobody wants to hear a story about how their mom was a doctor and their dad was a successful lawyer and they gave them $500,000 to start their real estate portfolio. Those stories are terrible. They want to hear the stories that are real and uncut and raw shit from someone that started from the bottom and they were super poor and they built their way up to become super successful. And that's exactly the story I'm going to share with you guys today. So when I was going through elementary school, I lived in a small 3-bedroom mobile home with my mom and my brother. My mom was a cook in a restaurant, and my dad, he developed this very rare muscular condition when I was quite young, so he was on disability support. All of the clothes that I wore in elementary school were all purchased from thrift stores, so it was all just hand-me-down clothing, and I just was not given any handouts in life whatsoever. I would always look at my friends when they would walk into elementary school with new clothes on, or they'd have new toy or new bike, and I always wanted that life. I always wished that I had parents that could afford those things for me, but it just wasn't gonna happen. I remember I would always just bitch to my mom about how can I not have the same things that my friends have? How can I not have nice new clothes or new toys? And why can't you provide me with this type of life? And I remember it it was literally yesterday. My mom was going through her bills at the end of the month and she was sorting through them, and she's Joel, come over here. And she wrote down on a piece of paper, this is how much mommy makes. And then she's and this is how much mommy owes this month. And then after that, I was okay, I get it. I understand why you can't provide me with the life that I want. You're not trying to hide anything from me. You just are poor. You just can't afford it. So instead of giving me handouts, she taught me the single best thing that any parent can teach a child, and it's to work their ass off. Now, most kids will get their first job in high school at 16 or 17 years old, or maybe they won't even get a job in high school and they'll get it when they're in college or something. I got my first job at 11 years old as a dishwasher in the restaurant that my mom was working at. Now you might be thinking, isn't it illegal to employ an 11-year-old? And yes, it 100% is. I got paid under the table for the first few months, and they actually paid me from the servers that had to tip out every single night to the kitchen, I got like a big cut of the tip out. Now when I turned 12, they finally got me on payroll and they paid me like direct deposit in my bank account, and I quickly became the richest kid in my school by far. I literally had like thousands of dollars in my bank account and could buy whatever I wanted. Now my mom noticed that I got like pretty carried away on spending money because I'd never had money before. So she taught me how to save money, and she taught me that if I put away my money while I was young, I would have more of it as I got older. And so I was like, okay, wait, if I put away my money right now into a savings account and I don't do anything with it, my money will just accumulate more money, and I'm gonna have more money in my bank account when I'm older by literally doing nothing. And she's like, yeah, that's all you gotta do. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start doing this. And so eventually I got into high school and I started to save my money. And I became literally like obsessed with financial literacy. I wanted to be financially free when I got older. And the reason I obsessed over it so much is I didn't want to end up like my parents. I didn't want to have to scrimp like paycheck to paycheck. I wanted to be able to provide myself with an amazing life, and I didn't ever want to have my family go through the exact same thing that my mom and my dad had to go through. I eventually bought my first book on financial literacy, which was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And the reason that I loved it so much is it was very easy to read, it had an amazing story, and it taught me like the basics of financial literacy. And then after that, I was like, I need more of this. I like literally like craved to just like fill my head with more knowledge about financial literacy. So I started buying more and more and more books, and I soon had this like library of all these different books, from like stock investing to like bond investing to investing in foreclosures to investing in like multi-family properties. Like I wanted to learn as much as possible about how to be rich. So as my friends through high school like drank and smoked and partied all of their money away, I was reading, and I was just like listening to audiobooks and educating myself as much as possible. And I said to myself, I want to be able to retire by the time I'm 30 years old. So eventually I graduated high school and I got in university, and I would spend my summers working to pay off my university debt. I had no one paying for my tuition or anything. I paid my way through university. And when I eventually graduated, I got a job working at a place called Boston Pizza as a pizza delivery boy. So believe it or not, I actually made a fair amount in tips every single night delivering pizzas. So I would take those tips and I would put them into a savings account, and then I would just like live off of my paycheck. And at the time, I was living with my best friend in like a really beautiful 2-bedroom, like big apartment in London, Ontario. And I was really, really comfortable. Like I had no reason to go out and buy a house because I was just like splitting rent with him, and I didn't think that I could actually go out and afford to buy a house at the time. Eventually my best friend got a job in Toronto, and I was forced to move out and try to find a place on my own. And like literally the single worst thing you could ever do if you want to become rich is continue to rent every single month. That is, like, I promise you, the worst thing that you can ever do if you want to become rich in real estate. Stop renting as soon as possible. So I started looking for like 1-bedroom apartments, and like nothing really like fit my standards. I lived in a really nice place, and I just didn't want to like lower my standards and go to something even worse. And so like everything was between like $900 and like $1,100 per month. Now that was like a lot of money for me. Like remember, I was just like a pizza delivery boy at the time, and that was like a shit ton of money to be paying someone else's mortgage off and making someone else rich. And so I remember calling up my mom and being like, Mom, there's like literally nothing available in London that's like within my price range and like within my standards. Like what do I do? And she's like, Joel, like $900 to $1,100 is like a crazy amount of money. Why don't you just buy your own house? That literally is like the price of a mortgage almost. And that's literally like where the light bulb turned on. And I quickly stopped looking for places to rent and just was like determined to find a place to buy. And so I got like really, really excited. And I remember like calling up my best friend on the phone, and I was like, man, I'm about to buy my first house. Like, what do you think about this? And he's like, you can't buy a house. Like, you literally work as a delivery boy at a pizza place. You can't afford that. And I'm like, watch me. And like literally 2 weeks later, I was the proud owner of a 4-bedroom little bungalow. It was like literally built in the 1900s, and it was very, very old on the outside, but like it was like renovated on the inside, so it was like new and like modern, and it felt really, really special to me. And the best part about it was right next to the university, so it was like literally the perfect student rental. And so when I finally owned the property, I partially furnished it, and then I took like really, really good photos and made an awesome ad on Craigslist and Kijiji, and I was like promoting it every single day. And my plan was to rent out 3 bedrooms in the property and then live in the 4th bedroom for free. And it didn't take long until I literally had like swarms of students coming and viewing my property. And the reason why I had just like so much interest in my property is I took so much care. I spent so much time to make my property special. I made sure that it smelled good, that it looked really, really clean, there was art on the walls, it was furnished really, really nicely, and it allowed the students to feel like they already lived there. And so it was like just a total different approach than all the other scumlords on my block that were just like renting out these shithole places that these students were just like super afraid to live in. My place stood out, and so I was actually able to command a ton of rent. I was able to make way more in rent than the other properties just from like putting a little bit more effort and a little bit more time into my property. And I'll never forget the day when I walked into my accountant's office and I showed him my financial statement. And like, this wasn't just like any accountant, he was also a real estate investor. He owned like 13 or like 15 houses or something in London, Ontario. And when he saw how much money and how much rent that property was making, he's like, your one property makes what 3 of my properties make. Now I just want to tell you guys, the very first property that you guys buy is going to be the hardest property to buy by far. It's just like the first 1,000 subscribers on YouTube is the hardest. Your first $1 million that you make is the hardest. When you're first starting from like the ground up, it's difficult and it's gonna be really hard, but you just gotta push through it. But once you have done it, and I believe that you guys can do it, once you've finally done it and you've created this system and you have these skills and you know these contacts and you've went through this process, then all you need to do is just like rinse and repeat it over and over and over again. And it might be hard to believe this, but it actually becomes really, really easy to do after a while. All you're doing is calling up the same real estate agent, you're then emailing the exact same mortgage broker to get you a good rate, you're going through the same lawyer to fill out all the paperwork, you're marketing it the exact same way as you did the last time, you got the same contractor to come fix it up. It's literally the exact same process that you just keep repeating over and over and over again. And it's like you create this template to becoming a millionaire. That one house then becomes 2 houses, which then becomes 3 houses, and you just start templating, and it's crazy how fast it can grow if you put the time and effort into it. Now this is where the fun part happens. This is where all your years of effort, all that like blood, sweat, and tears that you put into buying and managing and like renting out property ever since you were like 18 years old, now you're like 24, 25, 26, or somewhere in your like mid-20s, and you have enough passive income coming in so that you can finally quit your job and you can travel the world for free. You can put your car up for sale and you can cancel your insurance. You can cancel that super overpriced cell phone bill that you're paying, and you can cancel any other expenses that you won't be needing abroad. And like the crazy part is, believe it or not, you don't even need that much passive income to do this. It's so much easier than you think it is. So let me just show you guys. Let's say you have $1,500 in passive income. 15 times 12 months in a year, that's $18,000. That is like nothing. That is way below the poverty line. Now, $1,500 in like Canada or the United States or like many parts of Europe is like literally nothing. You can't even afford rent in most of those places for $1,500 a month. But in Southeast Asia or in South America, you literally feel like a baller. It is crazy how far your money goes. If you go up to like literally any backpacker and you tell them that my budget is $1,500 a month to travel, like they will be like, how did you get that much money? I'm not kidding you. It's only $50 a day, but it's so much money to people out here. Now you definitely don't want to quit your job the minute that you're making $1,500 in passive income on your properties. You want to have a savings account that has like a buffer of money if anything bad happens. Bad things happen all the time in real estate, so whether like you have tenants that leave unexpectedly and you can't rent the place out, or if there are damages, or if you need to make repairs to your roof or your septic system or something, you always want to have a stash of savings just in case something bad happens. So that was it, guys. Like, those are literally the steps, exactly what I did so that I could buy property, quit my job, and then travel the world for free on passive income. And I just want to, like, full disclosure, I don't drive like a super fancy sports car, and I don't live in a mansion or anything, and I don't wear a Gucci suit around town, because that's not me. And like, I realized that none of that stuff is gonna make me happy. I just wanted to live a simple, like, stress-free, happy lifestyle. And so like, that's literally what $1,500 a month gives me. That's all I really need to live a really happy life. I can make more, definitely, but I'm happy the way my life's going right now, and I'm happy with what I have, and everything seems to be pretty perfect at the moment. And I strongly believe, guys, that if I can do this, literally anyone can do this. I actually believe that you guys can even start younger than me. I bought my first house at 22 years old, and now I'm 26, but like, I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have anyone to teach me how to do this. I had to figure this out all on my own. And like, I'm trying to teach you guys right now while you're young. Start saving, start investing, start buying property as soon as humanly possible. Don't rent, buy assets, do not buy liabilities. It is not worth it. It's literally just like all in your head. If you are confident and that you believe you can buy a house at like 18 or 19 years old, you can do it. I didn't have the confidence to buy my first house until my best friend dared me to do it. And finally, that lit a fire up my ass and made me finally realize that I did have the money to buy my first house. It actually was possible to do. And now I just want to like devote my life to helping high school students and other millennials on how to be financially free. I didn't want to charge people for this. I don't think that's fair. I just want to be able to take like all the knowledge in my head, everything that I've learned over the past like 10, 15 years or whatever it was, and just like lay it out on the internet for free and help as many people as possible. So that is it, everyone. That's my story. I really hope it's helped you out and it's inspired you to start saving and finally buy your first property. I would love to answer like as many comments as possible. If you have any comments or questions or things you want to ask me, please leave them in the comment section right now below, and I'm going to try to answer as many of your comments as possible. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a big thumbs up. That'll just like let me know whether or not you want me to create more videos exactly like this, and I definitely will if you guys really like them. If you have a best friend or a boyfriend or girlfriend or partner or anyone that you know in your life that could benefit from a story like this, please just like hit the share button, share it with them. I seriously want to be able to help as many people as possible out there with my videos. That would really help me out. And finally, if you want to stay updated with more videos on how to travel the world and make money doing it, hit the subscribe button below and then that little like bell so you'll get notified the second that I post a brand new video up for you guys. I love each and every single one of you guys. Stay focused, my friends.